UFC Vegas 88. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. The on-the-road edition, currently on vacation, but you guys know I got to drop you the banger weigh-in recap show. I'm going to break down the card after seeing the fighters on the scales. So make sure you guys smash the likes. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. Also note, I'm planning on having Mike Finch host the Fight Companion tomorrow, which is Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Right now, that is the tentative plan. If there's any changes, I will let you guys know in the community post tab. So let's get into the first fight of the night. We have Chad Anheliger versus Charalampos Grigoriou. I've been picking Grigoriou because I do believe he has a clear-cut striking advantage. The reason I'm not overconfident in him is he has no UFC fights yet. He's a Contender Series winner, and he was damn impressive because he put Smotherman out with a big shot, and I honestly was high on Cameron Smotherman as a prospect. On the other side, Chad Anheliger has had a rough go-around in his past couple, 2 in a row losing. Jose Johnson, who's pretty good. Anheliger, who's okay. He's decent too. And Jose Johnson, I guess maybe I'm over-exaggerating and call him pretty good. He's pretty decent. Like, I like Jose Johnson, so I'll call him pretty good. And then he won his debut, Jesse Strader. Not really relevant. And then one Gafarov win. Gafarov's a decent guy, and he won that by a big upset on Contender. I believe Grigoriou's the better striker. I think Anheliger could be tricky to deal with in the wrestling. I like the power of Grigoriou, though, and we haven't seen Anheliger inside of the UFC take on any striker with that type of power. I know Anheliger has a little bit of pop, but he's more of a wrestling-based guy. Grigoriou is striking first and foremost. Now, he's at the Longo Weidman gym, so I know the grappling skill set, I think, is going to be pretty fine-tuned. Let's check these guys out on the scale. Let's see. Does anything shift seeing them on the weigh-ins? Chad Anheliger looked very good and in shape, as did Grigoriou, who's also the younger guy, and we're at bantamweight. Then we got the face-off. I'm going to stick with Grigoriou. I do believe he could chin Anheliger. I don't think you're nuts for shooting as Anheliger your dog this week, especially on a card where, you know, there are some decent-sized favorites. I think that Grigoriou's power is a difference maker. I think his striking is better. I don't personally have interest in a bet because Grigoriou is an unproven minus 173 favorite. You could, like, essentially at times auto-pick the veteran and have them versus a Contender Series guy. Granted, both a Contender Series winner. And then you end up getting it right with that plus 148. But I just don't love Anheliger's game here. And if Grigoriou has any long-term UFC potential, he's going to win this fight. Now, how does he get it done? I have officially been predicting knockout. I do believe that would be the best version of Grigoriou we could ever imagine. The odds for the win by knockout for Grigoriou sit at plus 235. Earlier in the week, maybe the early knockout was more on my side. Now I'm looking at over 1.5, minus 200. I don't think it's crazy, but you got to note that Grigoriou has fight-stopping power, something that Chad Anheliger, at least in the UFC, has yet to deal with. I'm going to go Grigoriou by KO, but personally, I don't love the betting side. If you're into it, I do think he's live by knockout. I understand the Anheliger backing. This is not one of my most confident picks on the card, but it is Charalampos Grigoriou for the W. I think he's going to get it done, and we're picking him to start the night. Next fight on the card, ladies going after it. Cory McKenna versus Jaqueline Amorim. I've been picking Cory McKenna all week because I just can't stand picking these jiu-jitsu fighters that willingly give up bottom position, shooting for submissions from the bottom. In modern UFC, it's rare to be locking things up from the bottom. It could happen. It has happened. We've seen it. But the likelihood, I think, is on the lower side. Amorim is going to need to get this fight to the ground, and she's going to need to get on top. When she is consistent and on point with takedowns, though, she gave Sam Hughes a lot of trouble early in the fight. Problem is, she faded after the first round, and she got touched up by a scrappy girl who's more skilled. Cory McKenna's a scrappy girl. I'd say she's technical as well, and I do believe as far as the overall game, she's more skilled. Where Amorim is going to have a slight edge, or actually a clear edge, is in pure jiu-jitsu. But McKenna's been training a long time. She also has shorter arms, which I know it's a disadvantage, right, in the striking per se, but Amorim is not a good boxer from the outside. Amorim has good length, but to lock up an armbar on Cory McKenna seems super unlikely because she's riding with a 58.5-inch reach. Now, as far as the scales, we'll check them out, and we'll see what's popping here. Let's see. Let's see. We don't have these two right up. We got to keep going. There we go. There's McKenna, young, ready to go, developing girl, younger than Amorim, but both girls in their 20s. There's Amorim. There's the face-off. You know what? Cory McKenna's looking like she's got a python bicep on her. I'm going McKenna because I also believe that the percentage of consistent improvement could be pretty vast with a girl who's only 24 and already, you know, a decent UFC vet. Not that Amorim's not a vet, right? She's 1-1 in the UFC. She beat Montserrat Conejo, but let's be honest, man. Montserrat Conejo looked horrible in multiple UFC outings. I think we get a win for McKenna on a decision. My method, mentality-wise here, is it's either McKenna hand-raised on the scorecards or it's going to be Amorim locking up a sub. Plus 150 for Amorim. That's interesting. Earlier on in the week, this was a near Pick'em's line. Cory McKenna opened as a dog. She's been heavily attacked, and now it's completely flipped to her being a well-sized favorite. Plus 150 for Amorim, underdog action. I'm going to go with McKenna. I do think we go over 2.5, which is minus 200. I think fight going long favors McKenna. We'll call a McKenna decision. Officially, that's plus 120. I got to go with the fighter that has more tools. I'm going with Cory McKenna to get the win by a decision over Jaqueline Amorim in our second fight on the card. Next fight on the card, we have Thiago Moisés versus Mitch Ramirez. Short notice. Mitch Ramirez. I respect him coming in on short notice. The dude looked good. I initially am picking Thiago Moisés to get it done. I do feel as though Thiago Moisés is going to have a clear-cut Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu edge, and I don't think he's far out as far as the striking game goes. Where Ramirez is interesting is he's a very physically strong guy and he can wrestle. Moisés is not known for his knockout punch, where I believe his success will come is probably on the ground. We're going to check these guys out on the scales, and we're going to see here. We're actually going to scroll up because we glanced them previously for the last matchup. There's Mitch Ramirez. He looks pretty jacked. I got to give credit where it's due. He looks in great shape for this fight. Thiago Moisés, he looks in great shape as well, per usual. And then there's the face-off. Ramirez is clearly bigger. Damn, bro. Is it just me, or do we need USADA back? USADA, do a test on Ramirez. Those delts are looking a little anabolic. It sucks because I don't want to pick flip on anything. I hate pick flips, right? Because what I've seen of Ramirez is he can be heavy-footed. He can have those cinder block feet, and then he can get caught up inside. Like, yeah, he's got a bit of power, but he's also at times out of position and hittable. Moisés is not the guy with the power to stop him. Where Moisés wins is an overall well-versed MMA attack and then potentially locking in a sub on the ground. Throughout the whole week, for the odds to likelihood of success ratio, like, bro, I haven't been crazy about Thiago Moisés. I've picked him throughout the week, and I feel like I'm still going to pick him here. I'm not going to flip just because Ramirez looks like he's jacked and maybe juiced up. I don't know. I'm going to assume he's natty. You know, I'm not trying to absolutely shaft him because he hasn't failed any drug tests, but he looks pretty stacked. Plus 295 for Ramirez, minus 370 for Moisés. Those odds just don't really ring right for me, okay? Those odds, they don't tingle right for me. I think that Moisés wins, but I think it is potentially on the riskier side of throwing money at like a parlay piece with Moisés. But I'm gonna say he pulls it off. I'm gonna say he gets a sub because UFC experience is something we got to take into consideration when it's 11 fights to 0 fights. That's significant. And being in there with Islam Makhachev, right? Benoit Saint-Denis beating Michael Johnson. There's some good W's that Moisés has had, and there's also some tough fights which he's lost against absolute savages. I'm gonna pick Moisés. I'm picking sub, but over 1.5 is minus 155. And over 1.5 is calling my name because I don't know about him taking down Ramirez early. I think the sub would potentially come in the later stage or a decision from Moisés. I personally don't love the sub prop. Moisés by sub is only plus 115. Not super into it as far as what the line's at. Decision is plus 275. That over 1.5 is going to be what I like in this fight here if I got to give you something to potentially throw down on. Moisés for the win, and I do think we go a little bit longer in this fight here. Over 1.5 is a decent little sniper, and it's at good odds. Very good odds. Very playable odds, especially for a parlay. Next fight on the card, Josh Culibao versus Danny Silva. I've been picking Josh Culibao all week. I think that he's just a little bit better technically. He's been in the UFC a while. Another veteran versus prospect. We have a ton of these UFC veterans versus Contender Series prospect fights on this UFC Vegas card. I think Culibao wins here. I think Danny Silva's tough, but he's still hittable. He hits with power, but he sits inside and rips, and I think Culibao's better than him there. I think Culibao is faster than him. I think he's more technical. I think he's more athletic, and he's more primed, right? Because he's got that UFC high-level experience. He's consistently been in there with some savages. Last fight was against Lerone Murphy. It's not even a bad loss. I'm picking Culibao. I'm saying he's taking Danny Silva. All 3 rounds, they're going to go in a good striking match. Culibao is going to be a bit better. Let's check these guys out on the scales. Scroll down. There's Danny Silva. He looks pretty good. He did miss weight, though, coming in at 148.5 pounds. Guess you can see in his face he's a little bit dejected. Culibao looks usual. Looks decent. Looks okay. Not really a crazy physique on him, bro. Unfortunately, he's got the bird chest, but we don't need pec muscles in the fight game for the most part. We're not doing bodybuilding. Then we got an intense face-off between 2 good strikers. I think we got a fun fight coming at us, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm going Culibao. I'm going competitive decision, but I'm going with the veteran. I think he pulls it out. I feel good about his pick, too. Minus 184 to plus 159 with an over 2.5 and minus 185. It's probably going over. Over 1.5, minus 360. Probably happening, too. Culibao to win decision, plus 160. Something to note there. I think he pulls it off. I know that Danny Silva was involved in one of the best Contender Series fights ever with Angel Pacheco. Probably the best ever. One of the best fights I've seen. When I watched that last season live, I was losing my mind. I'm like, these guys are ready to die. And absolute savage. I'm glad that Danny Silva's in the UFC. I think he's got a bright future in the game. But Josh Culibao is still solid. And I think that he beats him. I'm going with the vet. I'm going Culibao to win. Next fight on the card, we have Osbourne versus Jafel Filho. I'm going Filho. There's a clear-cut jiu-jitsu advantage. Osbourne is susceptible to guys that are good on the ground. And now we got Filho, who's not only a good jiu-jitsu practitioner, he has strong takedowns, he's a physically strong guy, and he's not a dead fish in the striking. He's got knockout wins. He won by knockout on Contender Series. Osbourne's got a nice length advantage. He's a good kickboxer from the outside, but he needs to be in that green zone from long distance, touching up Filho for 3 rounds. And on the side of Osbourne, I know he's gotten knockouts before, but he's not like a one-hit flatline KO type of fighter. It's Jafel Filho, and I think he's going to end up winning this fight by sub, and I feel solid about this sub pick. Let's look at these two. There's Osbourne. Looks in shape, ready to go per usual. There's Filho, and then there's an intense face-off. Both guys shredded out, jacked, ready to go. We got grappler versus striker. I think the grappler is solid in the grappling with an advantage there. And I think in all honesty, when they match up, we're going to see Filho land takedowns, get this fight to the floor, and I think he thrives on the mat. We're going Filho. We're going win via submission in this fight. As far as the odds, Filho is minus 153, not a bad line. Osbourne plus 133. Under 2.5 at minus 200. And then Filho to win via submission is my official call. That currently sits at plus 140. I do believe that's what comes to fruition. I'm going Filho, win by sub. Should be a fun fight. I'm looking forward to watching these two scrap. I like the clash of striker versus grappler here a lot. Next fight on the card. The ladies going after it. It's Josiane Nunes versus Chelsea Chandler. I'm going with Chelsea Chandler to win. I think that she has a tricky game for Nunes, right? She's got some good size on her. Now, something to note straight out the gate. There was a weight miss for Chelsea Chandler. She came in 137 pounds. She's a former women's featherweight, as is Nunes. I was concerned about these girls making weight, and we saw that they didn't make weight. Is what is. Well, she didn't. One side did it. I'm still going to pick Chandler. I think she's a scrappy underdog. I didn't think that she could make the weight to start with. We'll check her out on the scales, and we'll see how she's looking here. All right, look at that. Chandler looks like she's cutting weight. She's definitely lost a fair amount of body fat, but she doesn't look dead and sucked in like we see a lot of these male fighters when they're really cutting hard. Then Nunes on the other side looks pretty healthy and athletic. She looks badass. Then we got a face-off. Nunes' back is crazy. Chelsea Chandler could get her down. I'll be honest. Damn, looking at them facing off, I feel like I'm looking at Charles Oliveira taking on a female fighter. Like, I don't know how to describe it. That Brazilian aura is badass. Damn, I'm like more concerned about Chelsea Chandler seeing that she missed weight and seeing that she still has a lot of visible body fat around the stomach. Oh my gosh, this is a concerning call. This is a concerning call, man. Pick flips do me dirty, and for the sake of everybody back in either side, I'm going to keep it on the Chelsea Chandler side because I know the universal curse is in. Every time I pick flip, the fighter that I initially picked wins and the flip loses. I ain't doing it, even though I feel inside there's a pick flip that could happen here. Nunes is minus 140, Chandler plus 120. Straight underdog Chandler, but note that she's only 1-1 in the UFC. Note that Nunes is 3-0 in the UFC, but she's fought all girls who are now released from the promotion. What's a Nunes KO? Plus 195. Interesting. No, she hasn't gotten the knockout yet, but she does got some hands on her. If Chandler gets it done inside of the distance, it's plus 300. So what I see with Chelsea Chandler, well, I guess what I initially saw is that size advantage. If I'm Chandler, I'm looking to take this fight to the ground. Nunes is a striker. I mean, fuck's sake, she's training at Striker's house. That's the gym. Nobody has tested her with the grappling yet. And I think Chelsea Chandler could be the girl to do so. She reps the Cesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, part of the Nick Diaz Army. I'm a Chelsea Chandler fan. Maybe that's swaying my mind here, and I'm not recognizing that we got maybe a female Brazilian contender on the come-up. That's kind of like a Jessica Andrade doppelganger. But I'm going with Chelsea Chandler to win, and I'll eat those damn words if I have to. We'll see on fight day. Chandler to pull it off as a dog. Next fight on the card. It brings us to our featured prelim of the night. High confidence Mike Davis pick. High confidence. And we have Natan Levy coming in half a pound over. 56.5. Interesting. Interesting note. Interesting note. Let's see if that held up. I actually want to double check because I'd be looking at the weights on Tapology, but I know, once in a while, there's a chance that Tapology is not going to give us the most up-to-date information with these damn weights. And I want to make sure everybody was on point. Let's see. All right, let's see. 3 weight misses on the card. Let's see. Do we have them written down here? All right. Danny Silva missed weight earlier. My God, I forgot to bring it up. I'll put that in. I'll type that in, and I'll put it as a little graphic. Danny Silva also missed weight earlier. Hey, maybe add some steam to the Culibao pick. This one here is only a half pound over, which is not substantial, but not a good look for Natan Levy coming in heavy. Let's check him out on the scales. Let's see. There's Mike Davis, shredded, ready to go. Natan Levy looks in good shape, but off weight, not a good thing. There's the face-off. Mike Davis is just better than Natan Levy everywhere Natan Levy's good. It's simple as that. It doesn't require a crazy-ass breakdown. I'm telling you what's going to happen. Mike Davis is going to beat him in every aspect of the game. It becomes, does Mike Davis get a finish? He swelled to a minus 500 favorite. Earlier on in the week, you could have money-lined him. Okay, maybe not great, but minus 250 you could touch. Minus 255 you could touch. Now, minus 500, the line's nearly doubled. And I'm telling you, Mike Davis is going to destroy him. Plus 375 for Levy. The over is minus 200. Mike Davis has all these skills, but he's not getting these finishes. And it's not impossible for him to finish. But I do think he probably goes longer, man. If Mike Davis is to really shift the momentum of his career in his favor, he's going to get a finish. He's plus 175 for knockout, plus 135 for inside distance, and then plus 130 for decision. Mike Davis is a parlay piece for sure. He's a wide favorite. Natan Levy's a pretty tough guy. I'm going to officially call a decision for Mike Davis at plus 130. But I'd be excited to see him actually get a finish in this fight. Because the dude's good everywhere. His stand-up is nasty. His grappling is very good. He's strong as fuck. He's in great shape. The potential is essentially right there written down that Mike Davis could become a top 15 guy. Let's keep running up. Next fight brings us to our main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, smash the likes, and if you're new, subscribe. To start it off, we got Gerald Meerschaert versus Bryan Barberena. I've been picking Gerald Meerschaert to win by submission because Bryan Barberena's kryptonite is guys with good grappling skills. Last fight, Barberena coming up to 85. This fight is at middleweight. He took on Muhammad Muradov, and he was getting taken down by the kickboxer. Note that Meerschaert submitted Muradov, but not necessarily, a huge note because styles do make the fights. 2 fights before that, we got a submission loss against Gunnar Nelson for Barberena and RDA by sub. Meerschaert, last fight was so close with Petrosky. He loses a damn split decision, and I don't think that's a bad look, really, because Petrosky's like a tremendous ground-skilled grappler with good jiu-jitsu. Barberena is kickboxing, scrappy boxing more so than anything else. He's got a bit of sting in his hands, but at 85, it's going to be tough. And I also believe that the hole in the grappling game against a guy like Meerschaert who knows that that hole is a massive thing, it's a factor. It's a major factor. It's huge. And I think it's big enough to be a problem. Let's check these guys out on the scales, and let's look at them going face to face here. Let's see. Let's see what we got. There is Barberena with the signature nail polish. And then there is Meerschaert with the absolute chatted mustache. Chatted mustache, Meerschaert. All day. Yeah, Meerschaert by sub. Nothing's changing here. My confidence on Meerschaert is high. Because it's a stylistic match that favors him beautifully. Minus 238 Meerschaert. Plus 203 for Barberena. The under is minus 155. Meerschaert by sub. Plus 100. I'm calling the sub. Meerschaert's a good pick, guys. I think that he gets to win. Gerald Meerschaert to start our main card off with a W. I'm feeling very good about. Next fight on the card, we got Pannie Kianzad versus Macy Chiasson 2. The rematch between these ladies. I'm picking Macy Chiasson by a decision. I just think the physicality advantage is real. It's going to be close because Pannie Kianzad's got some decent hands. The first fight was competitive. It was like an armbar attempt by Kianzad that then led to the choke finish for Chiasson. Now, years later, they fight again. I like what Chiasson has done. I mean, not super impressive in the Raquel Pennington fight, but she was beating Irene Aldana up until she got, an up kick to the liver that stopped her. Kianzad last time out lost to Ketlin Vieira by decision. And what happened there? She got taken down and controlled. I think Macy Chiasson can get Pannie Kianzad down, and I do think she can garner a good amount of control time. And even in the striking, Chiasson's should be pretty fine here. I think she controls against the cage as well. I feel Chiasson's on her way to going 2-0 against Pannie Kianzad in a rematch of the Ultimate Fighter 28 finale. There's Chiasson. There is Kianzad. And look at that. Chiasson looks a whole weight class bigger. Significantly taller. And I think that physicality advantage is a major factor in this fight. Chiasson made weight. That was a concern for me. I'm like, dude, can she make 135 pounds now? Yeah, she can. And she did. She came in at 35.5. She came in lighter than Kianzad, who was 36. Minus 220 for Chiasson. Kianzad plus 185. The over 2.5 is minus 360 with the ladies fight probably. Chiasson minus 115 for a decision. Yeah, Chiasson's going to get it done, guys. I'm picking Chiasson for the win. Ladies fight, so we'll assume it goes long. I like Macy here. I think she goes 2-0 against Pannie Kianzad. Next fight on the card, Christian Rodriguez versus Isaac Dulgarian. Hell is riding on this matchup because Dulgarian is my lock, and he's swelled as a favorite here. Now, Rodriguez is the people's underdog. He's 61% of Tapology's pick, but he's gotten wider and wider as a dog. Let's check them out on the scales. Note something about Dulgarian. He's never been outside of the first round, but I don't think that means he isn't capable of going outside of a first round. Both guys. But look at the frame. That is a featherweight. That is a guy coming up from bantamweight. There's the face-off. And then when they face off, though, holy shit, Dulgarian looks shorter, man. I think Dulgarian's nasty, though. If Rosas can have success in the grappling, a guy like Dulgarian will succeed as well. I think Dulgarian from top is a menace. I expect some ground and pound. I think that he's going to be landing key takedowns. If he's forced to go into the later stages of the fight, I believe that he will have the gas tank to go into the later stages, even though he hasn't shown us it just yet at the highest level. He destroyed Francis Marshall in his debut, though. Dulgarian minus 187. Christian Rodriguez plus 162. Yeah, I like Dulgarian to win. Just money line. Just money line it. If you do want to go for an inside the distance Dulgarian, it's plus 150. He's won all of his fights in the first round, but I really believe this could be a guy that takes him longer. And I don't think he's a dead fish as it goes longer either. We're going Isaac Dulgarian to win again. This week's lock. Should have a physicality advantage over Rodriguez, a clear-cut wrestling edge, and I expect him to perform, go out and win. And I think it should be a solid sophomore appearance in the UFC for him. Let's go. We're going Dulgarian here. Next fight on the card is our featured bout of the night. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Ovince St. Preux. I think Nzechukwu is going to destroy a past his prime OSP, but I've been very excited to see Ovince St. Preux weigh in so we can check out the frame. So we'll just bring him right up. There's Nzechukwu who shaved down the flat top. Trimmed it up a little bit. Looks fine on the scale. Bro. OSP has lost significant muscle mass. This is the worst I've ever seen him look. This is the worst I've ever seen Ovince St. Preux look. I've never seen this from him before. He looks bad. Kennedy Nzechukwu is going to take him out in a round. It could go 2 rounds. Second round is a possibility. But knockout win for Nzechukwu against the corpse of OSP, unfortunately. And the bookies know it too. He's minus 700. The over is plus 125. Inside distance, Nzechukwu, minus 475. Holy shit. Knockout, minus 200. Nzechukwu wins in the first round is plus 115. Wins in the second is plus 235. So, if it goes a little longer, but damn, OSP looks horrible. I think he's getting knocked out. I think he might get submitted. I think the first round is so live for Nzechukwu. I don't think second round is a bad idea, though, because naturally Nzechukwu's game, you know, he takes his time to get his finish, right? He has, what, 2 first-round wins, 4 second, and then 2 in the third as far as knockouts go. And then he does have 1 second-round sub. So more of the time he's going longer, but it's not impossible for him to get it done against a washed OSP in a round, nearly 41. Sad to see OSP at this point, but this is the fight game, and Nzechukwu's getting his hand raised. I'm going to officially predict the knockout. Vicious knockout. Confident call. Co-main event, Bryan Battle versus Loosa. I've been picking Bryan Battle all week, and I like the late submission. I like the submission straight. I think people are disregarding Battle's submission skills, or at least the bookies, right? Because this line was like plus 550 for the win by sub. But as far as the matchup, Loosa is a very physically strong guy with decent wrestling skills. He lands takedowns pretty well, and he can keep a high pace going. The thing with Bryan Battle on the opposite side is he's a durable guy. He can take some damage. He can deal out some damage, and he's got a better gas tank. Loosa's a muscle-bound guy, and I think he can run into trouble here. I like Bryan Battle for the win. I like Bryan Battle to get it done by sub. Let's check him out on the scales. Let's look at the scales here. There is Loosa. The dude should bodybuild. Holy shit. Freakishly jacked Loosa. That's scary. Then Bryan Battle looking more jacked than I've ever seen. Damn, he looks jacked. And he looks tall, too. He looks like a whole different weight class. Looks like light heavyweight Bryan Battle. Whoa. Bryan Battle's going to sub him. Later in the fight, I like submission. But, like, as far as betting it, you can just touch that line straight up. Minus 183 for Battle. I like the odds. Battle to win by submission. Plus 425. High likelihood. I like Bryan Battle getting it done. Battle wins in the third. Plus 700. Battle wins in the second. Plus 650. Bryan Battle for the W. Dub skis Bryan Battle. I like it. I feel good about it. I feel great about it. I've been confident in Bryan Battle all week. Nothing's changing. There's no confidence shift. We're going Bryan Battle for the win. Bryan Battle for the submission. I think he weathers even an early storm from Loosa, but he might be dominant here. He looks way bigger than Ange. Yeah, Bryan Battle for the win. I'm very excited to see him fight. Let's go. Bryan Battle getting it done in the co-main. High confidence pick here. And I'm looking forward to this fight. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. We got Tuivasa versus Meerschaert Tybura. I've been picking Tuivasa to chin Tybura. I believe Tuivasa's power is substantial enough to put Tybura's lights out. We've seen Tybura weather storms of guys that have dangerous striking games, but not as dangerous as Ty. Okay? I feel like Tuivasa has much more power than a lot of these guys that Tybura's weathered the storm and finished off. Guys like Greg Hardy, who did damage to Tybura. Walt Harris. Tuivasa's a different level. He's got nastier striking. He's been in there with the best in the world, time in and time out. Cyril Gane war, Pavlovich bad loss, and then obviously lost to Alexander Volkov by sub. All of those guys have significantly better striking games than Meerschaert Tybura. I think Tybura on the feet is in trouble. I think he's going to get ripped with some hard shots. I think he's getting his lights shut off here in the first round. Tuivasa by knockout, and I think that he gets some momentum going in his favor again. And then we also got to bring up Tuivasa with the long hair, extra savage points. And then we got the worst haircut ever, Meerschaert Tybura with the half-bald head fade. I don't know what he was going for. I think he should have just done the Last Airbender, the Avatar, just triangle at this point. I don't know what he's doing with that cut. I don't know who's lining him up, man. That's crazy. Tybura looks tall. There's the face-off. Tuivasa with the great man bun and the long hair. I mean, bro, we got to go Tuivasa. And he's got the long hair. Long hair, Tuivasa, mythical fighter. I'm telling you, he's coming out fast, hard, and he's chinning Tybura in a round. Tybura was knocked out in like a minute last time when he took on Tom Aspinall. I think Tuivasa gets a first-round knockout. Odds are near even. Minus 110 on both sides at certain spots. Minus 117 Tuivasa. But we essentially have a pick'ems fight. I think this fight's going under 1.5, which is plus 115. Tuivasa by KO, minus 105. Just money line it. I mean, it's better off. Minus 117. You're at almost the same line for a knockout. Yeah, it's probably knockout for him getting it done. But what if it ended up being a damn DQ? Then you're kicking yourself. Tuivasa for the win all day. Tuivasa's pulling it off. He's going to look dominant. He's snapping the 3-fight losing streak. And he's sleeping Meerschaert Tybura. He's the significantly better striker. Yes, Tybura may have better grappling, but I don't think he can deal with Tuivasa's early storm, and I don't think Tuivasa's getting spammed, double leg, taken down, and strangled in the first round. Tuivasa for the W in our main event, but we're not done yet. We're not done yet. We got to talk these parlays, all right? So, Mike Davis is a super confident pick. Okay, I feel great about Mike Davis winning. I just think it's going to happen. I've said it all week. Kennedy and Nzechukwu, it's going to happen. Minus 247. Now, Bryan Battle, plus 121. I love these three in a lineup together. I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, if you like the Culibao Danny Silva fight, Danny Silva missed weight. I didn't mention it initially in the breakdown because I realized it afterwards and I forgot to bring it up. So my mistake. I forgot. Culibao on it, just plus 249. And over 1.5, though, is not bad. Plus 180. Something just to, just to mention. This ladies fight going over. Plus 230. I like these three in the lineup a ton. That's the A-tier parlay, man. Chiasson plus 219 now. GM3 to win plus 217. Now, if you want to mix up props in your parlays because you're just an absolute menace to society and that's what you want, Gerald Meerschaert to win by submission plus 130. Kennedy and Nzechukwu to win by knockout is my official call. Minus 190. Now you're at plus 250. Mike Davis straight down the line. I don't think is a horrible idea. Mike Davis straight down the line, minus 450, plus 329. Add a little more steam to it, okay? And we're going to add in Bryan Battle straight, plus 574. But if we're doing it, Savage mode, we're going Battle by sub. Now you got plus 2,389 for this one right here. Something maybe I'm shooting at the stars for, but something savage that I'm calling. Tuivasa is the cherry on top. If you don't want to do this parlay with methods of victory, you just do this parlay with the straight outcomes. I don't think it's a bad idea either. Obviously, Dulgarian, straight down the line, money line, lock, minus 180, plus 7,167 if you add him in there too. But you can do it with just the fighters straight. Or realistically, you can put Mike Davis and Nzechukwu and Dulgarian, or Mike Davis and Nzechukwu battle Dulgarian. You could go Tuivasa Dulgarian if you're looking for some steam as far as better odds and not putting in these big favorites. But I think this is what's going down. That's UFC Vegas 88. I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown from the road. I told you guys I'm still bringing the heat. I even got it written down on a board over here. Much love, my people. I'm enjoying vacation and doing well. Finchman's going to be holding down the fight companion, so I'm looking forward to that. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Smash the likes on your way out, and if you're new, subscribe. We'll be back in studio next week, Wednesday, and then, fight companion next Saturday. Absolutely, we'll be back on the grind. I appreciate you all. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Drop a W in the comments. You got nothing to say, but you just want to support the content. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.